Jacob Fatu is out of action till next year. Plus, we have plans for NXT call-ups on SmackDown, and the demise of a SmackDown character has been confirmed. It's all in the Cultaholic Wrestling news right now. All gas, no brakes, unfortunately, is no gas, all brakes right now. Jacob Fatu. We ain't going to see him for a while, Fraser Porter.
No, it could be a very, very long time. The quote says well into 2026, as Body Slam Plus is reporting that he is out with a non-wrestling related injury that's expected to see him miss the majority of next year. No real specifics on what the injury is. It's being kept private, but sources indicate it's serious enough to stop everything in its tracks for him within WWE right now, which is horrible to hear, because he's
just gutting.
He's had obviously an incredible run so far where his popularity has soared. He's just back on our screens, started a program with Drew McIntyre, and it looks like that has been unfortunately put to a stop.
Yeah, that was a real exciting moment for Jacob in that little bit they did with Drew. I think this is Jacob's kind of big main event feud. This was gonna eventually move on into, according to Body Slam, working with Cody Rhodes over the undisputed title, and what a fresh main event that would have been, and what an intriguing proposition that would have been.
Yeah, the report also from the Wrestling Observer last week was that over the next few months it would be Drew and Jacob to then both have moments challenging for that title, and it would have seen him solidify himself as that main event caliber talent that everyone knows he can be. Hopefully once he comes back he can slot right back into there, but obviously with it being kept private, we don't know the nature of the injury. We don't know how that might change him in terms of if it's serious enough, it's keeping him out that long, if it'll have an effect on him in the ring or not. There's a lot of injury woes at the moment.
Yeah.
And it comes off the back of Seth Rollins' injury at the same time. It was all in one weekend that all this sort of broke and happened. So hopefully Jacob will recover fast.
Yeah, Rollins' injury was one that we were talking about throughout this week, where it looks as if it's potentially a thing that may take Seth out of the game as well until well into next year, which is awful timing. At time of recording, there's been no plan set in motion for what happens next, depending on, I think, probably the result of medical evaluations, which are coming in the next day or so, if they're not here by now, when it comes to the world title. But Becky Lynch took to Twitter to sort of lighten the mood a little bit. She put a tweet saying, "I'm gone for 1 week." and your absence led to a separated shoulder, potentially.
Yeah.
It was replied to by Omos.
He said, "My services are available." So this would be quite funny, having Omos on screen as the backup to Becky Lynch to take on Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed and Paul Heyman. Obviously Omos has been off our screen for a very, very long time, but I think anyone wants to see it. Everyone even wants to see him back on screen, so just give him something.
Why are we assuming that he's offering his services as a tag partner for Becky Lynch? Might mean as husband.
That is true.
You're my wife now.
And you know, he has just dropped a new fragrance, so he'll be smelling fantastic. Almost apparently always smells great because he's the fragrance connoisseur. Loves his fragrances. He's got his own one out now, so maybe that's part of the whole pitch there. My services are available. He's got the fragrances. Yeah. He's got the height. He's got the talent. He's cool.
He's great. This fragrance, by the way, it's called Iberi by the Giant Connoisseur. He says it means new beginnings, and this is a new beginning for me. This is a space that I'm a creator of, and this is a space that I've never delved into. I want to give a special shout out to my wife, because without her input, I don't think I would have gotten such a banger of a fragrance. Good lad.
So maybe he's not trying to be the husband to Becky Lynch. If he's shouting out his wife in the fragrance ad, you know, he doesn't want to cause issues there. So maybe he's going to be. Obviously, it's just we're talking rubbish here, but I feel like
no, we're not.
I feel like almost coming back on screen to go up against Braun and Bronson would be a lot of entertainment like that. That would be fun to watch because they're just big lads going at it, and the thought of Braun Breaker running full force, trying to spear Omos, and Omos doesn't budge. He just goes straight into him. It would be a fun visual.
Well, Omos did turn up at the Coconut Loop NXT house shows just this past weekend and had a little square off with Obafemi, which was a very intriguing proposition. And when it comes to Obafemi and indeed the NXT roster, Worked Wrestling is saying that we are going to get some call-ups to the SmackDown roster sooner rather than later to fill in some of the gaps left by recent injuries and help freshen up the product. Omos has got to be a shoo-in.
Omos, if you count Omos.
Not Omos, sorry, Obafemi.
Obafemi for sure, former NXT champion. Bring them both up.
Both!
Obafemi, former NXT champion. There was reports recently that said that they still had plans from NXT, but currently you feel like a lot of the talent that's coming up from NXT can work on both programs at the moment and do a slower transition instead of just the hard cut that we've had in the past. Javon Evans has to be up there in the list of names that you bring up. He is ready, and I think his recent appearances on NXT, his match with Leon Slater at TNA Bound for Glory, just solidifies the fact that even though he's 21, he's well beyond his years in the ring, and I feel he needs to be on the main roster. Similarly, Ethan Page.
Yes, without a doubt. The partnership he and Chelsea Green had, I think you'd be daft if you didn't get those two back together on the main roster.
Just bring him up. He had time in AEW, so he is used to being on a bigger program than NXT, and I feel like he is ready to be on the main roster, and he's been in the business a while, and I feel like he's well above what he needs to do in NXT. He's done everything, essentially. The question mark I have over two people, though, is Trick Williams and Ricky Sainz, because Trick Williams has been in NXT a while, and he's done TNA. Is he ready for the main roster? Yes, but does NXT still need him? Probably, if you're losing the other names that we mentioned.
I'd leave them there for a bit longer.
But Ricky Sainz, he's not getting any younger, and he feels main roster ready because he's been on Dynamite in AEW and Collision and stuff like that. So why keep him in NXT if you've got him ready?
There is that. On the women's side of things as well, I think Jordan Grace is due a call-up fairly soonish. I think Blake Monroe, we don't need to spend too much more time in NXT, especially when the women's division on SmackDown currently seems to be Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax and Jade Cargill. When you talk about freshening up, some new matches for Tiffany Stratton or a new challenger that's going to knock her off her pedestal. I think Blake Monroe maybe that's what we do.
We've already seen Sol Ruka up on
Sol Ruka is ready to go. I think
there's so many options.
Zarya is ready to go. We're in a really nice healthy position at the moment where there is a lot of NXT talent that I think could make the jump up and it would not feel
Shawn Michaels
weird.
Bring him up. He's ready for another run. He's looking great at the moment. He can bust out a sweet chin music.
He's looking great, and he's looking over there.
He is.
He's ready to go, that boy is. R-Truth. Let's end on some news about R-Truth. Obviously, when he came back after that very brief release from the company, he came back as Ron Killings, a super serious character. And then he went back to being goofy R-Truth, lovable goofy R-Truth once again. Ron Killings is done. The demise of Ron Killings has been confirmed by R-Truth.
Yes, this was on CBS Sports. He said, it went where it was supposed to. Ron Killings created R-Truth. Those hundreds of millions of fans who spoke and uproared, they wanted R-Truth back. Ron Killings was the rebellious one who spoke up for R-Truth. Ron Killings has been around for years, but people had never come together in lockstep like that. They did that for R-Truth. You feel me? I wanted Ron Killings to go where he was supposed to go. He made a statement. He had eyes on him. When John Cena came back, R-Truth came back. Ron Killings was the cavalry. I think Ron Killings was a selfish type deal, more of a selfish move, and more than 100 million views that wanted R-Truth. If numbers are real, that was the power of numbers. I understand his logic behind it. People did really come out to support R-Truth because that's the character they wanted to see. It is just a shame that when he went and came back and it was quite clear he wanted to try something new, the fans just went, That's not why we wanted you back. Can you go back to the R-Truth we like? And he didn't really get to showcase what Ron Killings can do. We had a little feud with John Cena, and it was kind of that weird middle ground where he was Ron Killings, but he was still R-Truth. And it's a shame that it didn't quite work out that way, but it is. I'm just glad R-Truth is back in the company and he's being paid by WWE. He's an absolute legend.
Absolutely. Happy to see him back there. No WWE PLE this weekend, but if you are clamouring to watch some WWE wrestling with us, myself and Matthew Gregg today are recording the Cultaholic Classic SmackDown review retro reactions to WrestleMania 19.
Nice. That's going to be a big boy.
Big boy. It's about a 4-hour show. We're watching the whole thing and offering alternative commentary for your ears, and that'll be available on the podcast feed on Saturday morning. But you can dream a little wrestle dream of us this weekend as well. Predictions with Andrew and Sam for you on the channel. Live reactions as well. And what happened at with me on the Saturday night. Are you coming in for that one? Or are you having the weekend off?
I'm enjoying a weekend off, which is very nice. But it's going to be a really great show. It's going to be a really great show. I'm excited. The card looks great. And I like the idea of Hangman Page versus Samoa Joe. It's going to be very good.
That'll be a lovely
I'll be sitting
time.
with some whiskey.
Ooh.
Just enjoying whiskey watching that match because it's going to be fun.
You delicious creature. And for the very latest wrestling news at any time, you can check out cultaholic.com. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.